Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karen Fessler. About 3 months ago, Kelly Hayworth and Tom Salick called me and they said, hey, we have an idea we want to talk to you about. My first reaction was to run the other way as fast as possible. But I said, okay. So they wanted to put together a Coralville speaker series where we invite all of the candidates for president from both sides to come to Coralville, so Coralville residents get a chance to meet the next president of the United States, whoever that might be. My friend John Deeth in the back is working on the Democratic side. I'm working on the Republican side. This is our third event, by far our largest event, and I want to thank all of you for being here today. Before we get started, I'd like to start with the pledge. If you would please rise and stay standing as Stacy Stolting will sing the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As has been my custom ever since I was pretty young and singing for George W. Bush as president, I have always dedicated it like this. I dedicate this to our heroes, our veterans. And if you're here right now and have served, I thank you. And next, I also dedicate it to my Lord Jesus, because we do have religious liberty in our country. And I always like to point that out with love. For veterans and for our country, I will sing our national anthem a cappella this time. Okay. All who say and you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattled, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the That's you, veterans. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is a tremendous crowd here at the beautiful Brown Deer Golf Course for a very, very good program that we're doing today. This is actually the kickoff for the fundraising campaign for the Coralville Veterans Memorial. And your dollars today will go toward that memorial, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that later. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce to you somebody who is a good friend, who is the reason that this community is the way it is, along with our elected leaders. He has a vision. He's the one who thought that this would be a great idea for this event, and I'm very proud to introduce to you my friend, the city administrator for the city of Coralville, Kelly Hayworth.
Great job. Thank you very much, Karen. And Karen is really the brains behind our group, and she makes Tom Seelig and I look good. Would like to start out with just a few introductions at our head table here with Mr. Trump. First, starting out with our mayor, Mayor John Lundell. Mayor Lundell is Mayor Lundell has served the city of Coralville for over 35 years in a wide variety of roles, including as starting as a volunteer fire department member here in Coralville. Also would like to introduce Rex Brandstetter and his wife, Michael. Rex is the head of the Sons of the American Legion here in Coralville, and it was Rex's idea to get this memorial kicked off and started. So thank you very much, Rex. We have our former mayor, Mayor Jim Fawcett, and his wife, Carol. Jim has celebrated over 50 years of service to the city of Coralville, and we appreciate all of that service. And he will be back here to speak to you in just a few minutes. And finally, Jerry Ambrose and Christine Hardy. Jerry is responsible he paid for the lunch for everyone today so that 100% of the proceeds would go to the Coralville Veterans Memorial, and we really appreciate that, Jerry. So now I'd like to introduce former Mayor Jim Fawcett, who is the Coralville Veterans Memorial Project Chairman, and he's going to tell you a few things about the project.
Thank you, Kelly. And I won't be here very long because as I was known for when I was mayor, my speeches were really short. So, yeah, I am Jim Fawcett, and most of you will know me as the old mayor of Coralville. And my wife, Carol, and I have lived in Coralville since we built our home on 14th Avenue in 1959. We still live in that same house. Coming soon, a Veterans Memorial, which is a fitting memorial to all veterans, all branches of service of our military will be honored at this memorial. I am a Korean veteran. I'm a member of the Walter Johnson Post 921 here in Coralville, and I'm proud to serve as project chairman of the new committee to secure this Veterans Memorial, which is dedicated to all who have served in the military. But I want to thank Karen Fessler, Tom Seelig, and Kelly Hayworth for their role in organizing this speaker series, and for inviting Mr. Donald Trump for being here, and to thank Mr. Trump for agreeing to come and speak with us today. I want to thank the city of Coralville for providing the site on which to construct this memorial. Thanks also to Vietnam veteran Jerry Ambrose and Ambrose Associates for providing this luncheon today. Because of the generosity of all those involved in this occurrence, all money received today, including tickets and contributions, will go to the Veterans Memorial Fund. The location of the memorial is just right adjacent to the, if you look at your flyers ahead of you, it's adjacent to the Firefighters Memorial, and will be right there at the cemetery, just on First Avenue. So the thing about the memorial, and you'll be able to, if you pick up the flyers that you have, and if you look at the posters and various other things around here, and talk to some of the people, you'll find that the Veterans Memorial, like I say, was kind of the brainchild of originally of Rex Brandstatter, and we want to thank Rex for working with us and helping us to do that. And you will have the opportunity to make contributions to this along the way. We're just in the process. We kicked off just a couple of weeks ago the fundraising for this effort, and everything is going really great at this particular time. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Kelly or to Karen, and like I say, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call either myself, call Rex Brandstatter, Henry Herwig, or someone at the Veterans Memorial, the Legion, so we can get you the information you need and make sure that that this project really gets kicked off, and we are really excited to be here today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Seelig. I work at West Bank, and I'm part of the group that sort of helped plan this. But it's amazing. There's 200 people here or more, and I'm just impressed that you came, and it's exciting to see all of you. But before we start, I have a couple of confessions. Some of you know I'm Catholic. I'm still practicing Catholic, and occasionally when we sin, we have to go confess. So I have 2 confessions today. First, in this event, I did nothing. My only role really was to buy coffee the first time we met. I used a West Bank credit card. So all this work here today, Karen did it. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I haven't done a thing. So that's my first confession. The second is to Mr. Trump. It's a little embarrassing. When they said that he might be willing to come, I said, well, you think, can he draw a crowd? And Kelly and Karen said, well, I think he can. Then they called back about 3 weeks later. They said, well, we want to charge $25. I said, well, no one's going to come for that. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that maybe Donald could maybe absolve me from that here today. So I wanted to apologize for that. But I really here just to recognize Jerry Ambrose. And Jerry and I both have a military career, not quite the same, but we both served in the military, served during the Vietnam era. Jerry actually served in Vietnam and was a U.S. Marine. I served in 90 days in Tucson, Arizona. I went to law school when I got out. The war was ending, and so I had a 4-year commitment, so I was a 90-day wonder. The other thing, we both got citations while we were in the military. Mine was a speeding ticket going to the Air Force Base one morning. Jerry's was a Navy Cross. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge this. Jerry will probably be mad at me, but we're going to take a minute. So in Jerry's office in the corner, there is this citation of the Navy Cross, which is the second highest military honor for valor awarded by the U.S. Marines, U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard. And I'll just briefly, part of the citation. Lance Corporal Jerry D. Ambrose, U.S. Marine Corps, received the Navy Cross on June 5, 1970 for extraordinary heroism while serving as a squad leader for Company M, 3rd Battalion. On the night of January 8, 1970, Ambrose was leading a 10-man joint combat patrol consisting of 4 U.S. Marines and 6 Republic of Vietnam soldiers. The unit came under heavy fire from approximately 25 enemy soldiers in the Quang Nam province. Ignoring the hostile rounds and grenades impacting around him, Ambrose quickly deployed his men against enemy positions. When a grenade exploded near him, he sustained several serious injuries, but refused medical attention. Shouting encouragement to his men, he pressed the advance, personally accounting for 5 enemy killed. During the ensuing fierce firefight, Ambrose exposed himself to hostile fire and maintained the momentum of the attack. The enemy was forced to retreat. After suffering intense pain and bleeding profusely, Ambrose led his unit and the 4 captured soldiers safely back over 1,200 meters to a secure base. His heroic and resolute actions inspired all who observed him and were instrumental in defeating a determined, numerically superior hostile force. Jerry, thanks for your service.
A couple of other special guests we have with us today. One is Terry Johnson. Terry Johnson is a Gold Star mom, her son having been killed in action in Iraq in April of 2009. She works at the VA hospital, assisting other veterans with their health care there, and has an organization called Jason's Box that helps fulfill needs for our overseas trip. If you look on the back of your program, the website for Jason's Box is there, and I would encourage you to go online and read more about it and try to help Terry out with this endeavor. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. Our other special guest today is Mitch Chapman and his wife Lindsay and their daughter. Mitch was wounded by an IED in Afghanistan in 2008 and was seriously wounded and now has has the first Puppy Jake Foundation service dogs. His Bob is here today. Puppy Jake Foundation was founded by Becky Beach in Des Moines, Iowa, another great Iowa-based organization. Mitch works at the Rock Island Arsenal and earned his bachelor's degree 5 years to the day after his incident that caused him to be injured. So we're very happy to have him today and hope that you'll take a look at Puppy Jake Foundation as well. We do have some literature out on the table about it. It's a great organization. Mitch, Lindsay, thanks for being with us today. Okay, we're turning it back over to Kelly.
We are very honored today to have Mr. Donald Trump here in Coralville. Donald Trump is doing these kind of events across Iowa where tickets are sold and 100% of the money goes to causes around our state of Iowa, and so for that he should be honored. We all know of his business accomplishments, and if you don't, you can ask my son Michael or Rex Brandstatter because they've read all his books. But today we're here to honor the veterans, and he is also a devoted supporter of veteran causes. He serves as the co-chairman of the New York Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, and he passionately supports many other veterans organizations around the country. Please give a warm Coralville welcome to Mr. Donald Trump.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Wow. Don't we all love breaking records? We broke the record, the all-time record. I don't think anyone's going to top it. I hope they do, because it's for a good cause and a great cause. So I love the veterans. I feel just very warm toward the veterans. They're great, brave people. And, you know, it's a couple of little stories. Speaking of Jerry in Vietnam, years ago, around in the early, I guess, mid-1990s, I was approached about helping with the Vietnam Memorial, which I actually helped to get built and donated a lot of money, and we got it built in downtown Manhattan. And it's a funny thing, I've done a lot of building over the years and many, many things, and people don't come up and thank me. They thank me a little bit for the Woolman Rink in Central Park and this and that, but nobody thanks me more than the Vietnam veterans for what I did with the memorial. And I'm very proud of it, and they're very proud of it, and they're great people, and they don't forget. Other people forget, so it's really something very special. And Jerry, you're very special, so that's congratulations. The other thing is about veterans that's sort of amazing to me is, you know, it's about 1995, we had the Veterans Memorial Parade in New York City, and it used to be down Fifth Avenue, and it was a big deal, and people respected it. And anyway, they had a really bad time, and people weren't showing up, and they weren't going, and they weren't paying respect to the veterans. And I was approached by a number of people, including the mayor of the city of New York, and they said, is there anything you can do about it? They actually moved the parade to Riverside Drive, where I have property, but that's no place to have a parade. You can't get the crowds over there, way, way, way on the west side. And they had a parade where literally 275 people showed up, 275 people watching very brave people march down the middle of a street that should never have been used. And I was approached, and it ended up being a front page story. It was actually a very catastrophic type of story. And I was approached by the mayor and some other people, could we do something for the following year that would be really great? I said, well, I'll do it, but you have to get it back on Fifth Avenue. where all the people are and all the action is. And they said, okay, we'll agree to that. I said, all right, let me take over. And I took a group of people that were amazing people, veterans and others, and we organized a parade down Fifth Avenue the following year that had 1 million people, maybe more. They say it was one of the largest parades in the history of the city of New York. It was unbelievable, and I was always very proud to have done that. That to me was just something special, because the people are special. And then the other night at the Waldorf Astoria, I was honored by the Marine Corps in one of the highest civilian awards they give. And actually, the gentleman that gave it just became the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 4-star general, a fantastic guy. I sat down, I talked to him, we talked everything like, we're going to win this thing, right? We got to win. We got to win. And he knows how to win. Believe me, he knows how to win. If you let them do their thing, he knows how to win. So I just got that. So I have a great relationship to veterans, a great relationship to the armed forces, and I have great respect for them. So it's an honor to be here. Very great honor. Thank you. We have to make our country great again. Our country is doing very poorly. And to do that, we have to make our country rich and prosperous, and we have to bring back incentive, and we have to bring back spirit. I thought when President Obama was elected, one thing he'd do, he was inexperienced totally, and that turned out to be a disaster. But he was totally inexperienced. But I actually thought he'd be a great cheerleader for the country. I really felt he would be the rah-rah, let's go, let's be proud. And that's turned out to be just the opposite. There is no cheerleading. We don't win anymore as a country. When was the last time we beat China in a trade deal? When was the last time we beat Mexico at the border? Mexico's ripping us off like nobody's ripped us off in many, many years. People are flowing across the border. We're going to take care of them. And believe me, it's not the best and the finest. They're not sending their best and their finest. And they're coming from many other countries other than Mexico. And we could solve that problem. We could solve it easily. And I always say, who can build a better wall than Trump? Nobody. Well, I build great buildings. I build great walls, believe me. That's an easy one. And this would be a real wall, and it would be paid for by Mexico, because what they've done for us and what they've done to us is incredible. And I'll give you a little example. Recently, front page of the Wall Street Journal, I read where Ford Motor Company, great company, is building a car plant, $2.5 billion in Mexico. So it was of interest to me. I say, how is that helping us? Tell me. So I read the entire story. So they're going to build cars and trucks and parts, and they're going to send them over to our country, no tax whatsoever, and they're going to sell cars made in Mexico here with no tax, no nothing. Trucks, parts, cars, illegals, we get them all. In fact, I said, why don't we just give all the illegals cars, trucks, and parts, let them come over. They might as well just bring them over themselves, because that's what's happening. Send everything. You know, the United States has become like a dumping ground. You know that. We've become a dumping ground. Everybody. Now, if you come from a high education and you've had great achievement, you can't get in. It's impossible. But people that shouldn't be here can get in very easily. And people that have not done good, criminals, rapists, lots of others, they get in. And we have to take care of them. We have to watch them. We have to see what happens. And you look at the kind of crime along the border and elsewhere. Because once they're in, we send them all over the country. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace what's happening to our country. So we have to stop, and we have to stop that. So I said to myself, you know, if I were president, I'm going to be making that decision, and in my own mind I've already made it, but we're doing something I think that a lot of people are going to be very happy with on June 16th in New York City at Trump Tower. I said, what would I do? Here's a case where Ford is building this big, big plant, $2.5 billion, going to employ thousands of Mexicans. And then they're going to sell to the United States. No tax. What would I do? Then I said, and what would one of these other candidates do? Politicians. All talk, no action. I've dealt with them all my life, folks. I mean, I know politicians, I think, better than any. I've made a fortune with politicians. With the exception of the double mayors here. All politicians, believe me. They're easy. These two guys are tough, but they're easy. They're easy. And by the way, you know what I like about your current mayor? He respects your former mayor. I said, what happened? I never hear that. He said, he's a great guy, Mr. Trump. Call me Donald. So what happens is, I said, what would a politician do? One of these guys get in, or Hillary or somebody, and I'll tell you what happens. They'll be upset. They may even be told, you shouldn't allow this to happen. And then the lobbyists will call them, because they're totally controlled by the lobbyists and the donors. Hey, I'm a donor. I'm a donor. I give to a lot of people. I give to everybody. And when I want something, I get it. I give to everybody. But the lobbyists and the donors, they'll call. And you know, they'll say, we don't want the plant. And then a day later, they'll say, oh, it's okay, go ahead. So here's what I do. I call up the head of Ford, who I know. I say, listen, congratulations on your plant. I really want to congratulate you. I think it sounds wonderful. There's only one problem. You're building it in Mexico. You should build it in the United States. But that's okay. Nevertheless, I'm going to charge you a 35% tax on every single car, truck, and part that you make when you send it into the United States. And I wish you a lot of luck in spending your $2.5 billion, but let me tell you something, we're going to get a lot of money out of this. So enjoy yourself, make plenty of cars, we're going to make a lot of money, okay? Now, if I'm one of the politicians that you're all being hit on to vote for, and I'm talking Republican or Democrat, here's what happens. They'll be called, and the lobbyists and their donors will call them, and Ford will probably have contributed to them a lot. And so will other people, and so will paid people that work for Ford. And they'll say, you can't go against Ford. They've helped you out. You can't go against them. They've been a supporter. They support me. I'm your lobbyist. I've been your friend for 10 years, for 20 years. You can't go against Ford. And you know what they're going to do? Oh, congratulations. That's the end of it. No problem. Me, different world. I don't care about lobbyists. I don't care about donors. I don't need any donors. I don't want any donors. I don't want donors. I'm doing my own campaign. Actually, the Des Moines Register today did a big story. Here's my guy right there. He follows me all over the place. I hope he's not a stalker. Stand up. This guy's every time I make a speech, he says, I think that's good. I don't know. But he's good. I think he likes Trump. But they did a story, and they were going to make it a little bit of a negative story because when they first, and I give them a lot of credit, when they first called, it was like, I made a statement, and my wife went, she didn't like it. She thought it sounded too braggadocious. And I said, hey, what are you going to do? A reporter, Josh, good reporter, called up from the Des Moines Register and said, well, you know, you made the statement that your Gucci store is worth more money than Romney. Well, actually, I made it sort of flippant, and I said it off the record. And he said, you know, that's one of the coolest statements I've heard. Do you think you could go on the record with it? I said, yeah, I don't care. What difference does it make? Then the following day, we got a call from another reporter, good reporter, and he was going to do a statement how wrong I was. Like, Trump would exaggerate, or it would be terrible, and he shouldn't have made that statement. And my wife actually said, I told you. I said, well, wait a minute, I think it's really on the low side, the 250. So they called up, and they were going to do a story, you know, like it's worth 10 million, and I said it's worth 250. Let's say Romney's worth 250. And by the way, the reason I'm upset with Romney, I think he did a terrible job. I think he ran a terrible campaign, and he should have beaten Obama. He should have beaten Obama. I mean, give me a break. He disappeared the last month of the campaign. He disappeared 100%. He wasn't there. And say what you want about Obama. He was on Jay Leno. He was on Letterman. He was on every show. And I'd call up his people. I say, why aren't you on the shows? They disappeared the last month. So whether he choked or whether he didn't want to win or something happened. So I'm not happy. So I made the statement. And they called up. And they actually went out and retained or did something, but they called up the biggest people in New York City. And they came out with the opposite story. So it was going to be 250 is like Romney, and the store's worth 10. Well, they found out the store's worth actually anywhere between 400 million and $1.4 billion. That's a lot. I didn't even know that. I figured like 250. But I don't exaggerate. I'm not playing games. And I give them credit for having written it properly. Because when they called, I figured, oh, no, here we go. They're going to say this story. But they actually went out and did proper research. So I give the Des Moines Register a lot of credit for that, because you don't often see that. Because I found that the political press is, in many cases, very dishonest. And I love to see it be honest. Because if it was us, like, for instance, they won't report that this is the biggest crowd that they've ever had in this room. They won't report it. I mean, maybe somebody will, but generally speaking, they won't do it. It's funny, I give speeches, and I get the biggest standing ovations. I have the biggest crowds. Nobody ever says it. Nobody ever says it. They say, yeah, Trump spoke. Yeah, it's fine. But we have something that's special going on. And the special is make America great again. It's simple. It's make America great again. Our country is in serious trouble. In Mexico, with the plant, I tell them, congratulations. To finish the story, so here's what happens. The head of Ford will call me back probably that hour, and I wouldn't even use one of the geniuses. You know, I know all the smart ones on Wall Street. I know the smart ones. I know the geniuses. I know the killers. I know the ones that are overrated. You got plenty of them, too. They think they're smart, and they're not. I know ones you never heard of that are smarter than all of them. I know them all. I put one in charge of China, one in charge of Japan, one in charge of Mexico. Believe me, I wouldn't even waste my time on this one's too easy. So the next day I get a call. This is what would happen from the head of Ford. We think it's unfair. That's okay, that's okay. And he'll hang up. Then he'll call me back an hour later. We don't want to build it in Mexico. We're going to build it in the United States. I say, now you're talking. Now you're talking. We're going to keep the jobs in the United States. Now you're talking. It's so easy. Our people are so incompetent. They truly don't know what they're doing. We have people that are incompetent. Let me give you an example. About 2 weeks ago, I opened a tennis center in Washington, D.C., right on the Potomac River. It's beautiful. It's part of a big, big club that's very successful. It's tremendous in Loudoun County, one of the most successful counties in the country. Of course, it's hard not to be successful in Washington because there's so many jobs in Washington. You know who's paying for a lot of those jobs, but we won't say that. But this place is like incredible, right on the Potomac River, magnificent. Every hole, it's 2 golf courses and tennis centers and incredible stuff, very successful. And I had Serena Williams there. And I love Serena, champion. In fact, she's doing very well in the French Open now. She's in the semifinals again. You know, she's won many majors. And my son said, do you think we could get somebody really great to open the center? And he gave me a couple of names I never heard of, and I know about sports. I never heard of them. I said, Eric, I never heard of those names. I said, how about Serena Williams? He said, yeah, I love that. Could you really? And I called her because she's a terrific person. She likes Mar-a-Lago. And so I called her up. I said, Serena, would you do it? Absolutely, I'd love to do it. Can you imagine that? Just so nice. Because it's good for tennis. That's her thing. So she came, and we had very talented players there. And our club champion's a very, very good player, like a scratch. We have a couple of scratch guys. Who are those scratch guys that said they're scratch golfers? Where the hell are they sitting here? Here's one right here. But we have a couple of scratch guys here. Well, they're like scratch tennis players, if you can use that expression. Really good. So I said, Serena, would you hit with this person? She's the club champion. So they're hitting, and the club champion was very good. She's hitting it hard, and Serena's just talking to everybody. Well, and then you do, it's like, it's really amazing. It was like a day in the park. And her backhand is extraordinary. And I said, Serena, would you do me a favor, hit her backhand? This woman was a good player, 30-year-old woman, housewife, club champion, really good. And she was working hard, and she was doing great. But, Serena's like not even doing it. It's just bing. I said, Serena, would you do me a favor? Hit a hard forehand or backhand. Well, Mr. Trump, I'd rather not do that. I said, why? Well, watch. Boom. She hits it. The woman never even saw it. And then I brought them back together, and I said, so, Serena, could she ever beat you in a million years? Well, Mr. Trump, you never know. It's nice. It was very nice, actually. Serena was great. But Serena then gave a little bit of a lesson on the backhand, how to hit a backhand. And these people, all good tennis players, normal good tennis players, right? Not champion players, but no. They were watching this lesson. How could you do better? I'm getting a lesson. I'm a woman. I'm 26 years old. I'm 30. I'm 40. And I'm getting a lesson from Serena. And they're watching. Now, they can watch all they want, but they won't be able to do it. And they weren't able to do it. Not like that. They weren't able to do it. And it's the same thing with politicians. I can tell them these stories. I can tell them that China is ripping us off and they're devaluing their currencies. In fact, I'm the one that got them to now, the stupid trade pact that they're talking about. which is idiots are making this thing up. Idiots. And the lobbyists are controlling it. Lobbyists for countries that are protected, lobbyists from companies that, take advantage of the stupidity of our politicians, including companies in this country. They want it because it's good for them. But it's bad for jobs and it's bad for our country. Okay? It's very, very bad. But I went into the devaluation. They didn't even mention devaluation. So I get a call from the Wall Street Journal, I get a call from the New York Times, I get a call from a lot of different places because I've been going wild on devaluation of the currency by China, by Japan, by others. Japan is back, by the way. Japan's doing big, big devaluations of the yen, and they are really back. They are really starting to hurt us. So I go in, and I say, they're devaluing. And all of a sudden, they're starting to talk about it, but they won't put it in. They won't put it in. Then they're covering many countries with the pack. I say, you can't cover many countries. You have to cover each individual country. Because some countries treat us well. Many countries, almost all, treat us horribly because they don't respect us. They consider our leaders to be stupid people, okay? They don't respect us. But the problem is, when you do a broad pact like that, countries are big. We can do a pact with each country. When you do a big, big pact like that, the bad countries get brought in and benefit by the good countries. So what are we doing? So we're giving a tremendous advantage. And China then will eventually form, and they will go into that pact, and they will just continue to eat our lunch, because that's what they're doing. And they laugh at us. And I have many friends. I sell apartments for millions, tens of millions of dollars from people from China. I have the largest bank in the world. It's a China bank. And they're a tenant in my building. Buildings. I mean, they love Trump. They actually did a story in Business Week magazine. What are the Chinese most want? Now, here I am hitting them all the time. I just think that, I just know their leaders are so much smarter than our leaders. So we have a problem. But what do the Chinese want more than anything? One of the 10 things, anything Trump. Can you believe it? And I hit them harder. I say to my friends from China, because I have a lot of friends from China, they can't believe that they get away with it. Now, they didn't know I'd be running for potentially president, because I used whatever they told me. I said, you never told me off the record. I'm not using your name. But they can't believe how stupid our leaders are. They can't believe that they can get away with this. They can't believe it. So what happens is, and it's very sad, but now they're finally starting to talk about the devaluation in this new agreement. But they don't know how to do it. It's like the Serena Williams story. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to negotiate. We have negotiators that we get Bergdahl, a traitor, and they get 5 leader killers that they've wanted for years and who are now back on the military fields fighting us. So we get a traitor that we don't want. I think we should give him back, to be honest, just drop him in the middle of that mess. But we get a traitor. In the old days, we used to kill our traitors. Now they're saying, well, maybe he has a problem, maybe he grew up in a different little thing. Can you believe what's going on in this country? When we were a great country, we didn't have traitors. When we had traitors, they suffered the consequences, Jerry. Is that right? Today, they find out, well, maybe a psychological problem, so that's wonderful. So that's the way we negotiate, though. I call Obama the 5-to-1 president, because we get Bergdahl, and they get 5 leaders, killers, who are now back on the battlefield, who they've wanted desperately. These guys are all back after us, just so you understand. And we can win that whole thing, but we don't have the people to win. We don't have the intelligence at the top to win. We can win so easily and so fast, but we don't have the leadership to win. We don't have the spirit to win. So many elements go into making a country great again, our country in particular. We owe $18 trillion. It's going up rapidly, by the way. And soon it's going to be 21. When it's 22 or 23, that's really the magic number. That's called the point of no return. When you hit that 23 trillion, think of it. You never even heard that word a few years ago. Now it's commonplace. So when we have all of these problems, we have to make our country strong economically. We have to save Social Security without cutting it, like everyone wants to do. They want to cut it. One doesn't want to cut it, but he wouldn't know where to get the money. I know where to get the money, from China, from Mexico, from every other country that's ripping us. We'll have so much money, it'll be coming out of our ears. we're not going to have to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. So, another story. A friend of mine, he's a great manufacturer. And he manufactures product that's very good, very high end. And he sends it to China. And he calls me very depressed. He says, I said, what's the problem? He said, you know, they're sending the product back. They're putting it in the boat, sending it back. How about sending a product? How about taking a boat and sending it back and forth like it's a yo-yo? They put stuff in here. And by the way, we have to buy it because the prices, you know, they devalue their currency so brilliantly that we have to buy it. I buy it, you buy it, we all buy it. But it's very unfair. It's unfair competition. So he says they won't take my product. Finally calls me up. He said they took my product, but they charged me a 42% tariff. Think of it. So they're charging him 42% to sell his product in China. We charge nothing because we're stupid, because our leaders don't know what they're doing. They don't know what we're doing. A friend of mine in another business, great friend of mine, is very, very unhappy. I say, what's your problem? He said, all of my life, by the way, I'm one of the biggest buyers of John Deere equipment, so I might as well say it in Iowa. I don't know if it's worth 2 votes, but hey. I'm actually, you can ask, I'm one of their biggest customers, okay? I buy millions and millions of dollars worth of John Deere equipment, and John Deere's a great company. But this man's an excavator. He's a big excavator, does a great job, one of the biggest. And he sees me, he says, you know, a terrible thing happened. What? I just bought new equipment. Oh, good. Congrats, you bought Caterpillar, because he's always bought Caterpillar. I said, did you buy Caterpillar? No. I bought Komatsu. Komatsu. I said, really? It's not bad equipment. I said, why did you buy Komatsu? He goes, because what that government has done to the yen is incredible. They've cut the yen to a point where it was impossible for Caterpillar to compete. And I owe it to myself, my family, my employees to get the stuff for the best price. And the price was not just a little bit off, Donald. It was from, like, hard to believe. So I said, isn't that a shame? Now, that's what's happening all over. And I'm a free trader. I believe in free trade. The only problem with free trade is you need smart leadership. Free trade's great, but you need smart leadership. And we don't have smart leadership. We have clowns. We have people with no leadership ability. We have people that don't have any business ability. We have diplomats. I see a story, very nice person. You know why I like her? Because my daughter Ivanka. Did anybody ever hear of Ivanka? She's great. She's great. But she likes her. She says she's very nice. But Carolyn Kennedy, on 60 Minutes the other night, they had a story about Carolyn Kennedy. She was looking for a job. So she went to the White House. She said, I'd love to help you. Is there anything I could do? They said, oh, well, how would you like to be ambassador to Japan? She goes, really? Now, I'm trying to paraphrase, but I think it's actually worse than this if you watch. She goes, really? She couldn't believe it. They go, no, we'd like you to be the ambassador to Japan. Wow. Okay, I'll take it. Now, if you know anything about Japan, the ambassadors have a lot to do with negotiation. She doesn't know anything about negotiation. And Abe, the new top dog in Japan, is a killer. He's the best they've had in 50 years, they say. And he's the one that's doing the big devaluation. He's the one that's why Komatsu is selling all of a sudden instead of Caterpillar, et cetera. He knows what he's doing. But I see on 60 Minutes where he's leading her around by the hand. They're giving her all sorts of parties. They're playing her, folks. They're playing her. These are politicians. They don't know what they're doing. They're all talk. They're no action. Say what you want. It's a horrible statement. The American dream is dead. It's dead. But if I run and if I win, I will bring it back stronger and better than ever before. That I can tell you. Stronger and better than ever before. We have to make our country great again. We can't have politicians doing these deals. And these deals are very important. And it sounds terrible. Somebody said, oh, it's a little bit crass to say that we have to become rich again. Well, if we're not rich, we're finished. We have to be rich. We have to make money. If you have something that is like, you have your farm, it's losing money, you're not going to get John Deere, you're going to have problems. We got to be rich again. But I actually had a couple of people, political people, oh, Donald, could you stop saying we're going to make our country rich again? Just say we're going to make it great again. You know, I actually trademarked the name because I made a couple of speeches. I got these massive standing ovations. All of a sudden, a couple of the candidates that are running started using Make America Great Again. I said, wait a minute, that's my phrase. Can't they use their, this is politicians. They copy. They copy. They cheat. They copy. But all of a sudden, I won't mention names because they actually happen to be nice guys. They come up to my office. Honestly, they kiss my ass, so. But they're very nice people. But they started using my phrase. I called them. I said, do me a favor. I actually can you imagine? Did you think in the history of running for politics, anybody's ever trademarked a phrase before? I actually trademarked it. But I get big standing ovations because Make America Great Again. It's great, but that's what it is. It's Make America Great Again. And by the way, Ronald Reagan, I didn't even know this, but he used to say, let's make America great. It's different. Everyone said I copied it from Ronald. I didn't. I never knew it. And I was a big fan of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan appointed my sister a federal judge. Ronald Reagan I was very friendly with. Ronald Reagan was great. I helped Ronald Reagan. He liked me. I was a young guy, but he liked me. I liked him. But it is a different phrase. But it's Make America Great Again. And if we don't make America great again, and if we don't do fast, if we don't go quickly, we're in big trouble. Now, just to finish, and then we're going to take a few questions. I know the people I'm running against. I like a lot of them. A lot of them are friends of mine. But you can't have a politician to lead us out of this mess because they're not tough enough. In my opinion, they're not smart enough. They're not cunning enough. And you need somebody that can do the job. And one of the things I'm going to do, if everything works out for a week and a half from now, on the 16th of June at Trump Tower, I'm going to release my financial statements because I figure, what the hell? I've done an unbelievable job. I built a great company, the most iconic assets in the world, among them, real estate assets, a truly great company, and very little debt, tremendous cash. You know, that's what the country needs. That's the thinking the country needs. Politicians can't do that. When I've employed all of these thousands, tens of thousands of people over my lifetime, these people, many of them have never employed a person, other than perhaps somebody that goes around with them to set up an appointment so they can see 40 people in this room instead of 250 people. That's all they employ. So we need people that are going to be great. We have to use our best, our finest, and our smartest. We can no longer put a political hack in charge of vast empires in Washington. We can no longer put people with no knowledge, with no brain power, with no understanding of business in charge of negotiating with the smartest people in the world who are all out to get us. Mexico is not our friend, remember that. China is not our friend. We gave a state dinner for China recently, and I said, I can't believe it. Why? Why? And these people come, and Obama's making a toast. You don't toast people that are doing bad things to you. You beat them. One of the deals I made, and a number of the deals I made, were against China, not with China, against China, some of the smartest people in China. I made a fortune. They hate my guts, I want to tell you. They really do. But I made a lot of money, so I'm going to explain all that. So we need people that are great. Because I'll tell you what, the United States cannot continue to go on this path. 2 days ago, the gross domestic product, did anybody see that? I've never even seen it before. It went less than zero. In other words, we're contracting. I said, I never knew there was such a thing. We're contracting. Well, you know who's taking our business? Many, many countries. Not just China, by the way. I use them as an example because they're the biggest abuser, although I think Mexico's catching them quickly. Mexico's a real abuser. Mexico really thinks our leaders are dumb. But I look at what's going on, and I see what's happening. And that's why I'm doing this. And people say, why are you in Iowa today? First of all, I have a lot of friends in Iowa, and great people in Iowa. People from Iowa, you know, in New York, I was asked to give a definition. So I don't know if this is good, but it's my definition. They're hard-working people who love the country. That's what they are. And we don't have enough of them in the country. It's what made America great originally. And we have to make it great again. So a lot of problems, they're fixable, but if it continues to go on beyond another period of time, we'll never bring it back. Nobody's going to bring it back. So this election is going to be very, very important. So I'll be making a decision. Again, in my own mind, I've made a decision, but I'll be making a decision, announcing a decision on June 16th in New York City at Trump Tower. And I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. Some people are going to be very upset, probably. But a lot of people are going to be very unhappy. And, you know, I'm on the side of everybody. I'm on the side of the liberals. And I'm a conservative person. I'm Protestant, Presbyterian. Everyone says, you're really Protestant? They can't believe it. I'm Presbyterian. They can't believe it. They say, really? Can't believe it. I actually sometimes, for some groups, I actually hold up my confirmation picture. That does it. Usually that convinces them. But we have to do something really special because this country cannot go on the way it's going on. Thank you very much. And let's take a few questions. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Trump, you're a very sophisticated New York City guy. Can we ordinary citizens trust the big banks on Wall Street?
Well, you can if you have the right leadership. You know, one of the questions I get, well, if you become president, you're going to make the... I don't care. If I become president, you know, I'm doing a big hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, which is hard to believe because I got it from the government. Can you imagine? Obama. I got it from Obama. Everybody wanted it, and I got it. Think of that. What does that mean? Okay? Don't think about it. But if somebody like me got in, I wouldn't care about my business is... Who cares? I'll have my kids run it. I don't care. We have such a big mission. It's like Obama takes a lot of vacations, goes on vacation all the time, plays a lot of golf. Hey, I own 18 different things. I bought Doral, I own Turnberry and Sky. I own the greatest clubs in the world. But you know, if I'm president, I want to stay in the White House. The White House, how cool is the White House? I want to straighten things out. You want to straighten things out. And I will tell you that if I run and if I win, I'll be spending tremendous amounts of time just straightening out the mess that's been created, because we have created a mess that's incredible. I'll give you one little story. A couple of weeks ago, the president flew to California to do a television interview in a 747 Air Force One. Big, big, beautiful plane, right? Costs you tremendous, many, many millions of dollars. Big staff, they greet him, they're this, they're that. Okay, to do, I think it was Ellen. Could have had Ellen come to the White House. She would have loved it. Then Mrs. Obama left a little bit before in a 757. Went to the same airport to do a different show in the same area. And I said, wouldn't you think that one of them maybe could have worked out the schedule that they took one plane instead of two? That's the first thing. Then I said, even better, if you told the respective shows, come to Washington, D.C., we'll do the interview in the White House, it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. And they'd be thrilled. Don't you think they'd rather do the show from the White House? So now you could do the show from the White House. He could be on the show, which is important to him. The people that have the show would be thrilled. And they'd pay for the whole course. You pay nothing. Set them up in a room, do the interview, out, and go back to work. Not ride on a plane all day. I mean, so simple. So simple. It's so sad. But you know, when you're in the White House, you're there for a limited period of time. You have a tremendous job, tremendous responsibility. Why do you leave so much? Why are you leaving all the time? I mean, golf is a great game, but you should always play with people that can help you toward getting the government better. Play with Boehner. Play with all these guys that you can't make deals. Don't just play with your friends that you grew up with. You shouldn't play with them at all. You have plenty of time to play with them after you're out. But play with the guys that you want to get to do something. I mean, President Obama's played more rounds of golf than people that are on the PGA Tour. And they do it for a living. So anyway, so I just say so many different things. But if you become president, you got to work very hard. You got to bring it back. I'll tell you, one of the things I do, so important, I'd bring back the middle class, because the middle class is being killed in this country. Nobody even talks about the middle class. And that's what really did make our country great, the middle class. And nobody talks about them. They talk about food stamps and this, and they talk about everything. They never talk about the middle class. And the middle class is dying in this country. Great people, hard workers, and they're going through hell. You got to bring back the middle class, so it's very important, okay? Thank you. Question, yes, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
You mentioned 23 trillion as
Yeah, a real bad number.
what's your reason for setting that as a
Right. A lot of the economists, I'm not a big believer in economists, by the way, but a lot of economists say that the 23 to 24 trillion, that's the magic number where you just can't take it back. That's a really bad number. So that's been a number that's been around for a while, but we're catching it very rapidly. I mean, we're catching it. You know, Obamacare is a disaster, and Obamacare has to be repealed and replaced. Has to be. And Obamacare it's going to eat this country alive. What a lot of people don't know, it kicks in 16, big league. That's when it really kicks in. So Obamacare is going to kick in 16, and Obama's going to be out on the golf course enjoying himself. But the country can't afford it, people can't afford it, and we need a great system. But we can have a better system, better for the people, less expensive for both the people. People are getting killed with Obamacare. I don't know if you saw the story recently where the rates are up 50%, 49%, 47%, 57%. People don't know what it's doing. And doctors, I have many doctors that are friends of mine, they're leaving the profession because one of them said, I have more accountants than I do nurses. It's so complicated and so screwed up. And remember this, the website cost $5 billion, and it's never worked, and it still doesn't work. It's gross incompetence. So there are systems, and I think everybody should be taken care of, by the way. I'm not one that says, oh, let 20%. I want to take care of everybody. I want to put people to work. Nobody, if I run and if I win, nobody will create jobs like I can create jobs. Nobody. But Obamacare has to be repealed, and it has to be replaced with something much better for the people and also much better for government and much simpler. And there are many things you could do. Yes, sir.
What would you do for food security in the United States?
For food security? Well, I'd make sure it's very secure. Right now, they don't know what they're doing. Are you talking about from a safety standpoint and a health standpoint? Well, the stuff being sent in by China and other places, and I'm watching it on the news, is very dangerous product. And not only food, other things, children's toys and lots of other things. So we've got to toughen it up. We've got to toughen it up. Okay, question? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Trump, looks like Hillary Clinton is going to have the nomination.
Right.
What are her qualifications to run for president of the United States?
Well, you'll have to, she's going around not answering questions. In fact, they just sent out a notice, which was interesting, that Hillary Clinton will be speaking someplace next week, and the speech will answer all questions. There will be no questions from the press. You know, you wonder how long can this go on? Well, look, it's an amazing thing. I've never seen anything quite like it. But I will say this, her poll numbers are going down very rapidly. The Bernie Sanders of the world are actually doing well. I don't see him being able to eclipse, but all of a sudden you're going to have some real candidates in there if that keeps happening. And, you know, she had a very hard time as Secretary of State, and we're trying to be polite. But she had a very, very hard time as Secretary of State. And we have to get there first. But, you know, beating Hillary is something that can absolutely be done. Absolutely be done. There's no question about it. But a lot of the people that I'm watching and seeing on our side of the fence, they're not beating Hillary. I will tell you right now. They are not they don't have the right message. And even if they did, they don't want to say the right message. Okay, we'll take a final question from our great, beautiful Metropolitan Opera House singer, okay? Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to inquire about what your stance is on life, on being pro-life.
I'm pro-life, yes.
And what you would do to preserve the lives of unborn Americans. And thank you again for your encouragement. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well,
for
it's great.
veterans.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, and great job you did. No, I am pro-life, as you probably know, and I think it's very important, and we will fight for it. You know, it's a tough fight because many people are on the other side of that fence. Although it's a very interesting thing, the polls, if you believe polls, are actually saying pro-life is actually going up a little bit, which is a very unusual thing in this crazy world that we're living in this country. but I feel very strongly about pro-life, okay? Many things. Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to appoint judges, and judges are very important, and there can be nothing more important because ultimately they're the ones that rule, okay? Thank you, everybody. This has really been an honor, and thank you all very much. I appreciate it. This is a great, great thing. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.